Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you everybody who has subscribed to this channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because when we get to 50 subscribers, I will be able to start going live on YouTube, and you'll be able to post comments and questions all live. And we'll have some really good live interactive discussions. That'll be fun, won't it? So, are we going to get there? It all depends on you. I've reserved my hotel room in San Diego. I'm going to the winter meetings. Sometimes an application just isn't enough to convey the message that you want to when you're applying for roles in baseball. And my applications so far haven't been, real good enough messages, but I hope I land my position with the Giants specifically. I really hope I do. And this little step, showing up at the winter meetings, just gonna have to see how that goes. Anyway, tonight I wanted to answer a question that was left in the comments from a fan. Thank you so much for doing that. The question is, do you think that the Giants should sign Judge to a long-term contract, or should they go after someone like Turner or Correa? Also, do you have any ideas of a reliever who would fit nicely into the Giants roster? Well, I want to answer the first part of that question first. Aaron Judge or Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, break that all down at this point, right? One of the dangers a team can fall into in an offseason, and don't get me wrong, evaluation is good. Assessment of your roster is great. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses and trying to find out where you need people to fill in, all of that is excellent. But one of the dangers that can happen in an offseason, and I believe even for a team like the Giants that plans to be aggressive, is that they can spend a long time just trying to get all of those details, and what it really turns into is just too much thinking about, is it going to be this guy, or how do we fill in this? And then that delays action to an unproductive point, and then it kind of becomes too late. So that's just one of the dangers. What they're doing, just looking at their roster, I think that's all great right now, but if they keep thinking this way of who's it going to be, and that is a substitute for the action that should be taken, that can be a problem for them. And what they need to do, what I think any good team that's trying to make some big splashes in the offseason should do, is get their plan together, get all of their assessments together, and put together a plan to start pursuing immediately, and then work everything according to that plan. They need to follow their plan, just follow their outline for upgrading their roster. They need to get something together, get something going, and then just follow through with it. Now, as for what exactly the diagram, what diagram should you have in your mind about what the Giants' plan should be? That's what I'm going to get to, and I want to give 3 specific reasons why I believe the Giants should start hotly pursuing Aaron Judge right now. Number 1, as far as I know, he's the best free agent out there, and he is certainly the highest profile one. He didn't just have a good season last year, he had an exceptional one. He's been an exceptional player all throughout his career. And when you're a team like the Giants that has to rebuild their roster the way they have to do, and I hope you realize they have to rebuild it. Farhan Zaidi realizes it. Gabe Kapler, I'm sure, realizes it. All their coaches realize it. And I do as well. And all the fans, I'm sure we all get this thing. They've got to rebuild their roster so they can contend right now, not falling out of contention. And to me, the only good place to start with that is at the top. They need to start at the top of the list, not settle for anything lower. I think they need to shoot as high as they possibly can. And Aaron Judge really is that top of the list. He is the guy for them right now. So if they're starting at the top, if they're looking to make big splashes, big splashes, if they're looking to fix this roster by shooting as high as they can, Aaron Judge is the way to go, because he is the best guy out there. And yes, he's going to cost a pretty penny, but Good players sometimes do, and sometimes it's something you gotta deal with. Number 2, the Giants are seen as the favorites to sign him if the Yankees don't. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, Aaron Judge will be meeting with the Giants. Tomorrow might be the first step in getting this Giants team back to a quality one. Tomorrow, do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, may be the first step in getting this team back to its World Series days in the early 2010 through 2020 decade. It could start tomorrow because the Giants will be meeting with Aaron Judge. It's still clear he'll want a lot of money, but the Giants haven't been spending enough, and thankfully it seems like they're willing to start spending a bit more, which is really what they need to do. So they were predicted as the favorites in their meeting with Aaron Judge tomorrow. So the underlying principle of that is the chance of success that they will have if they pursue Aaron Judge is good because they're seen as the favorites to sign him. So they shoot high. Doesn't seem like it's too high or so high they're going to miss it. And I'm not saying Aaron Judge is the only guy they should be looking at right now. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he's the top priority right now. And since they're projected to get him, they're projected that way above most of the other 30 teams. I mean, that seems like something to shoot for if it's likely to succeed in promoting their roster to a point like you could say 2021 or like when all of the veteran players were good. Reason number 3, if they don't go after him, other teams certainly will. Think about the Yankees. If I were Brian Cashman, their general manager, and I had a player who was leaving who was just the superstar of the game, a certain future Hall of Famer, I wouldn't want to see him go. So the Yankees, do you think they want him back? I mean, he rejected their contract offer, but I don't know that they're quite done. I mean, if I were anyone in the Yankees organization, I wouldn't feel too good about losing Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are and have always been big spenders as well. But it's not like they're going to be the only threat. He's the highest profile free agent on the board, and when you sit on those... Now, the good thing is, well, it's a partially good thing and a partially bad thing, but for the Giants, the thing really is that Judge, with his, maybe we could say ridiculous thoughts about the money he's going to be paid. He's looking for a contract that's going to give him an average of $40 million a year for the next 8 years. That might buy some time for the Giants because no team is just going to be able to plunge headlong into that. And I say that there's just this kind of competition on the free agent market for guys like Judge, but with the money that he's looking for, I think that's going to buy everybody a bit of time. But that doesn't mean the Giants don't need to kind of hurry it up because there will be competition at some point for Aaron Judge, and I think it would only intensify. So looking at the potential consequences, if they don't dive in for him right now, will he always be this available? Things could change. They can and do, and they could in this particular spot. And do I even need to mention that the Dodgers could very likely be interested in him? What would you think if you were the Dodgers? Don't they have a history of kind of getting some real great players? They traded for Manny Machado in 2018, traded for Trey Turner, and I can't remember which year it was, got traded for Mookie Betts from the Red Sox in a controversial decision by the Red Sox front office to let him go. But the Dodgers, boy, they sure benefited from him. In fact, they even won a World Series when he had a key double in I believe it was the 6th inning. Dodgers can get some good players. What about Clayton Kershaw? He's now a free agent. So to say that the Dodgers have no interest in Aaron Judge would be far-fetched. I haven't heard a lot from them about it, but if I just had to make a guess, I don't think they're going to put him too far from their minds. And they, remember, are not only in the Giants division, but the Giants' kind of big baseball enemies. So these reasons, and this last one was, the underlying principle was urgency. I think the Giants can rightly feel some urgency about signing Aaron Judge, and he is the best option. If they don't sign Aaron Judge, they've missed out on a big part of their great offseason. I believe that is true. If they don't sign Judge, they've missed out on a lot this offseason. They've missed out on a big part of making their roster good again. Good like playoff good. Now, along the lines of Trey Turner and Carlos Correa, it's not like Aaron Judge is kind of the only guy they could sign, and if that becomes kind of the thing there, I think I've mentioned that they shouldn't hesitate to sign one of those guys because it would push Crawford to the bench, because if that happens, it's really just the way it is. That's sometimes the way things are, and it would just be the way it is now, and it's time for the Giants to build their roster the way it's going to help them best win in 2023, because that's the year we're in. However fast it seems that time is passing to you or anything like that, we're going to be in 2023 next year, and players are as old as they are, and they've had their careers, and they are where they are in their careers, and Crawford is not going to be an exception. He's not the great player he used to be, but whatever his role is in 2023, it's going to have to work. Just whatever it is. But I think now I'll go to the second part of the question that I received, which is about a reliever. Is there a reliever that could potentially fit in for the Giants? Before we go anywhere with this, I want to mention a deal that just took place between the Padres and free agent reliever Robert Suarez. They signed him to a 3-year, $30 million contract with 2 $8 million player options. They're team options over the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027. What's the kind of conventional wisdom surrounding a deal like that? Is that you don't spend big bucks on relievers, especially non-closers, and that is just, every time I hear a thing like that, I'm like, I could not run a front office that way. I hear that, and it doesn't make me too happy, because it's not built on any good baseball principles at all. Relievers aren't supposed to get paid big money. That's a false... It's just a lie. And what the Padres did, I'm really using it as a role model. And first I want to state a few of my reasons here. So, take relievers and just think about their roles. I am not saying that the long relievers who come in when you're behind 5-0 should get paid $10 million a year. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that, who carries you when you're tied kind of in the late innings in games? So, do relievers pitch as many innings as starters do? Well, no, they do not. But hey, number one, that's kind of the way baseball works. That's how they've chosen to do it. The starter comes in and relievers have to take over, and they pitch on back-to-back days, and they're not inferior or anything. In fact, I don't know that they have less of a workload. They have to pitch on back-to-back days. It's been established that way in baseball. They have their roles, and their roles have to kind of work, and baseball wouldn't work without them any more than it would work without the starters. Number two, who often has to come in when the starter's in a jam, whether it's in the 5th inning or in the late innings. Well, it's a relief pitcher, and they gotta... And who pitches when it's tied or stuff like that. You're at the mercy of them on the outcome of your game. You are at the mercy of your relief pitchers. That's why their average salaries are just so unfair. They are so unfairly low as compared to starting pitchers and closers. If I can say this. The save, we need to know more about baseball statistics than that. The save, I'm not against all traditional statistics, but the save is something I'm sure against. Now, I don't want to twist the conventional wisdom of baseball in any way. Because, first of all, let me just say that the closer is the most important role in the bullpen. I should just say that's true. That it is true. They pitch the 9th inning. But to say that one reliever is the only one who can basically make a lot of money is just, to me, that's ridiculous. Robert Suarez wasn't a closer, and very soon I'm gonna get to why I believe the Padres did a good thing by signing him. Closers seem to be kind of the exception, not that they make as much money as starters, but they make like a lot of money in baseball terms, and it's because they pitch the ninth inning. It's true, yes, that the ninth inning is most important, the most important role, but sometimes you can have multiple pitchers in the bullpen that are really good and they have different roles, but it's still going to be super essential to winning the game. Robert Suarez is signed to be basically the Padres' setup pitcher. He's not their closer, and the Padres did exactly the right thing by signing him to a huge deal. There's no reason reliever salaries have to be so unfair in baseball just because they're not closers. Same thing with all-star selections. If we voted for pitchers, and I don't think they're selected by ballots, I could never vote for a closer because I would know that they would be getting all the votes anyway. So I'd vote for the 8th inning setup pitchers since they need them. They need more appearances in the all-star games. It's just ridiculous to say that one reliever, 7 or 8 men in the bullpen, and some of them are low leverage, yes, or lower leverage. I'm not really talking about them. It's ridiculous to say one reliever is the only guy in your bullpen who can be valued by, say, a lot of money. I don't know where that came from, but it's not true. The 8th inning guy, why wouldn't you value him with a lot of money? I think we just got our baseball priorities a little mixed up. I mean, it's kind of been integrated into the system. Ridiculous to say one reliever is all that's of importance, such that you could pay tens of millions of dollars to. And now the Padres are breaking that false principle, and good for them by signing Robert Suarez. And you remember when I mentioned the Giants signing Edwin Diaz, I said Diaz or Camilo Doval in the 9th and the other in the 8th, which is going to be which. I said I don't care as long as they get both of them on the roster. We'll see who's better, but I don't care who pitches which inning. Now it's too late for them to sign Diaz. The Mets signed him to a 5-year, $102 million contract, but the Giants have a few other options. The basic criteria, the basic criteria are, in my mind, a reliever who's been effective last year, no unreasonably bad recent injury history, and a reliever who, in the past few years and kind of throughout his career, has been solid, but I ideally want guys who are going to be star relievers for the Giants in 2023. But the first option I'm going to mention is going to break the first one of my criteria because his ERA for 2022 was over 500. This guy is Josh Hader. He kind of struggled a bit in 2022. He has that hard contact thing, and he gives up those home runs. His strikeout rate, though, in 2022 was 37%. In 2021, it was a humongous 45.5%. Listen to that, 45.5% strikeout rate for Hader in 2021. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. And I'm not saying balls in play aren't important for pitchers. In fact, when Voros McCracken when he formed his DIPS theory where pitchers don't have any real control over that, even he had to account for the fact that they're responsible for quality of contact by factoring home runs. He used strikeouts, walks, and home runs in his equation, and home runs, they're the ultimate quality contact, and why can't you just use that on smaller models? Like, they're responsible for quality of contact for sure, and Hader, the quality of contact he can allow is sometimes not too good, but that doesn't diminish. I mean, strikeout rate is still an important thing in baseball. 2021, it was 45.5%, just 4.5% away from striking out 1 in every 2 batters he faced that year. So I'd be willing to take the risk. He's not a free agent. He's with the Padres, and maybe Robert Suarez would be their closer if they traded Hader to the Giants. So it would require a trade. That's a situation where I am willing to take the risk if the Giants could pick up Hader by trading, and then, Robert Suarez for the Padres, he can move into being the closer, which is supposed to be where pitchers kind of belong if they're in the bullpen making a ton of money. But anyway, Hader is the option I would really want for the Giants. The other lefty option is Aroldis Chapman. he's having a few of his struggles. You know, I don't know that he wasn't quite as dominant this year as he's been known to be in his career, just as an all-star reliever. Again, I'm willing to take a chance on Chapman because he used to be the hardest thrower in the game. He's got such a good fastball. I'd say for him, I'm really just looking at his tools and saying, we got to do something here. Edwin Diaz is gone, unfortunately, but Aroldis Chapman, I mean, they shouldn't sign him to a long contract. If they could get like 2 or 3 years, that'd be a good thing. That's another chance I'm willing to take just because of his great stuff, and I just want to do that. And I could throw out some other names like Brad Hand, Chad Green, Tommy Kahnle, all real solid free agent relievers. But the other guy, this guy's a right-hander that I really have on my mind right now. He's a free agent, is Kenley Jansen. Pitched for the Dodgers a long time. He's still, by his ERA, he still appears to be effective at this point in his career. And if the Giants could pick him up, he is 35 years old. I'm not sure how these final years of his career would turn out, but he very recently, he was the Dodgers closer in the 2021 postseason, and he pitched against the Giants. So I think, and then he pitched for the Braves in 2022. If the Giants could seriously consider signing Kenley Jansen, while we're on former Dodgers pitchers, the other guy they should seriously consider, and this is a starter, is Clayton Kershaw. He's a free agent this year. There's got to be some kind of talk about Clayton Kershaw going to the Giants because I think he'd be effective for them. I know you asked about which reliever. I'm just kind of making this point. So I've given a few ideas for relievers the Giants could sign in their bullpen. I think definitely is an area that could be improved, you know, like, so we go back to the year 2019. They were supposed to have a pretty good bullpen in the year. They didn't make the playoffs, and, well, we probably remember just a lot of kind of blown saves and blown games by the bullpen, and that would make us hesitate to say the bullpen was great. We'd have to look up their overall ERA, and in September that year, call it up the AAA bullpen. This year, we might kind of say the same thing. Do we remember some jams the bullpen couldn't pitch out of? Do we remember a few things? Yes, of course we do. Again, I'd have to look up the total ERA. But while we remember what we do, it kind of makes me think, yeah, if we could improve really anything about this team, that would be a good thing. Thank you so much for watching today. Again, please subscribe. I'll say it one more time. Please subscribe if you have not. I will see you next time, and please leave questions and comments. I want to hear from you. And remember, get us to 50 subscribers. And I want to wish everyone a good Thanksgiving. With that, I'll say goodbye for now. See you next week on Giants Baseball 101.